There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true.
Yo! Welcome back, everybody, to another hit episode of the Yonkō Table. And that's right, you're hearing the voice of the one and only GrandMasterHoop. Yes, I'm leading the charge today as we come back. Let me rephrase. We swing back into things with another deep dive of the hit film Spider-Man: No Way Home. That's right, everybody. We have never done this before. 2 podcasts dedicated to one film, but this film was just so big, and we have so many opinions that we wanted y'all to hear because we know these people are great, and we know they got a lot to say as far as the fandom goes and as far as film critiques go. So we wanted you to hear their opinions, and we wanted to hear them too, because this movie is a lot to geek out about, and that's what we're here about at the Yonkō Table. So yes, we are back with Spider-Man: No Way Home Part 2. But with me, I'm never alone in these ventures. Come aboard and bring along all your hopes and dreams. With me, as always, is fellow Yonkō, DrJaceAttorney. Dr. Jace, why are you back for round 2? What brings you back to the table?
I'm back for round 2 because you're right. We haven't done this before where we do a round 2 on a take that we've done before, whether it be Marvel or just anything in general, movies, shows, what have you. I do have some more thoughts that I wanted to get across the table. And not only that, I feel like after having it sit and simmer for a good couple days, after having watched it at this point last Thursday, I think I'm strong enough and strong-willed enough to admit that this is the best live-action Spider-Man. That is right, better than Spider-Man 2. But we will go into details for sure. We will go into details on exactly why I believe that. But also, I wanted to hear what everyone else's thoughts were. We had some Yonkō members that didn't get a chance to come in on the first episode because it was our initial reaction. We were recording at like 2:00 in the morning, and we want to give them an opportunity to speak their mind, hear what they have to say, and see if some of the points rang home with them as well. So I'm excited to see what everyone else's thoughts are, and I guess hear some seasoned opinions as well for people that have been here already.
Well said. I couldn't say it better myself. Well, thank you for being back, Dr. Jace. Can't wait to see what simmered in your brain and what new revelations you have for us. Back again as well as Supernova Rose the Crafter. Rose, did you also have some thoughts simmer? Are you have a newfound revelation to discuss today?
I have some thoughts that did simmer, but most importantly, I'm back at the table to help our friends clean out the cobwebs underneath the table.
All right.
I'm just here to listen.
Cobwebs. Very nice. Hey, we appreciate your eagerness versus the lack of eagerness from some certain Spider-Man when it comes to cleaning cobwebs. But yes, welcome back. New to the Spider-Man No Way Home, we have DoctahReeka. DoctahReeka, she was very excited that we did the cast at so late in the evening. Oh my gosh, DoctahReeka, we're glad you're here today. I hope you're glad too.
I am glad. I was sad and a little bitter, but we're here. I'm excited to talk about this film. I had a good time. So yeah.
All right. And you know what? We're about to have a even greater time here. I'm sure. I can't wait to hear your opinion as well. We have a long-time returning supernova we haven't heard from in a while. It's Kame Chris, everybody. Kame Chris. What brings you over here floating on your Nimbus cloud, Kame Chris?
Well, I was also upset that you guys did it so late.
Dr. Jace, this is your fault.
Me? What?
I'm not gonna lie. I saw you guys on, and I was in the last hour of the movie, and I said, "Oh my God, are they kidding?" I thought I got it early enough. Obviously, I didn't, but I'm glad to be back to talk about it finally.
Good. Oh, we really didn't coordinate what times we were seeing
You didn't.
this movie.
There was no
Also,
coordination, no consideration, no thoughtfulness. No. Anyway, I was
and
upset.
you know how I am with time zones too. So I'm not
Oh,
even
we
really
know.
sure what time you saw it, DoctahReeka. I have really no idea.
I was
So-
done before y'all.
Oh,
I did that on purpose. I saw it at 6:30 on Thursday.
See, I don't know what
I left
6:30
work.
is for us. What is that 7:30 for us?
7:30. Y'all weren't even
Okay.
to the theater yet.
We've
Okay.
established this.
I'm
Anyway,
still learning.
fine. I still have some leftover feelings of hurt.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad, Comic Chris, you're here too. Let's just get into this, okay? Let's open the floodgates. Spider-Man No Way Home. What a thrilling experience this was.
Wait. I think you have to introduce one more person.
Oh goodness, that voice.
What do you mean? We do this every time. When you host, you get one unexpected guest, and that unexpected guest should be expected because they're
This
always
is not
there.
true. I hosted the West Side Story, and you did not appear.
Well, I'm here now, and I also feel some type of way about being left off the instant reaction pod, even though I didn't see it
Yeah,
until
you
like a
didn't
day and a half
see it.
later. I could have
Why?
hopped on.
And been spoiled. You wanted to have been spoiled.
I could have read the Wikipedia summary. I could have been
You don't
right
do
with
that.
you guys.
My older brother used to criticize me for doing that, reading the Wikipedia pages before and after the film. Yes, I used to
Speaking
go
of
on
which, I used to reprimand my little brother wherever he might be nowadays. And
right, I don't even know.
'cause he used to do that, and it pissed me off. But I would have done it, so I could have been on this pod. So you guys
Right.
all deserve some reprimanding.
Right. Well, again, no one ever invites you, so there's that part. But everybody, that's the voice of Hooperlino. Admiral Hooperlino has boarded
That's
the
right.
table again, and here he is. And again, his opinions are valid most of the time. He gives good insight. Living up in New York has given him a different perspective on storytelling. So despite him being opposition, we welcome him today. Sure, why not? We'll take you.
That's
All right. Right. All right, let's get into this. Okay. No Way Home. I don't know if y'all listened to the last cast of our initial reaction. But I'm just gonna go. Let's just start off like this. It's a great film. It's a good movie. It did a lot of things right. It nailed a lot of things. We had the theories and we had our expectations of who was gonna pop in this movie, and they were there. They were all there. Hence my background. Hence DoctahReeka's background. Everybody who they said would show up showed up. And honestly, I feel again that was like the biggest thing coming in was like, who will we see? And I'm happy they delivered on who we can see. And I specifically got the Matt Murdock scene behind me because that was my biggest geek out. I'm sorry, I don't know. I love Daredevil, and that I like squealed. I squealed. I
was sitting
squealed.
next to you. Yes, I know you.
Yeah.
I know.
I did. So I just want to open up. Where were your geek out moments in this movie? There were so many, but what was the quintessential geek out for you? I'm just gonna toss that on the table right now. So anybody go ahead. Where were you squealing, jumping?
I would say for me, well, aside from the cameos, that's always nice. But whenever they made references to memes, like they were self-aware of what's going on. So like when Norman Osborn was like, I'm something of a scientist myself. I was like, oh my God, they did it. They actually put it in the movie. I thought that was great. I thought that was fantastic. Seeing more interactions with like Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina as their respective villains. I mean, again, I know we mentioned it before, but they stole the show. I mean, they were really phenomenal. Like, it's like, I mean, yeah, it was great. It was great. Those were mine, at least. I'm curious to see what everyone else has to say, though.
Me too. Not all at once.
Yes, ease up, please.
I would say, okay. I would say when Green Goblin snapped and Tom Holland's Peter Parker like was sensing it about to happen, and they were like all in the apartment. I think I was like, okay, here we go. Like it was a voice change, and I was like, oh, this is probably like the part of the greatest scene that like made everything just click, like switch so quickly. I was like, yo, like we got him. Oh, he's here. Like I was waiting for this because I was like, there's no way he's gonna be sitting here with that like, oh my gosh, like I don't know where I am. I'm like, I'm waiting. Oh, I'm waiting for the snap, because once that happens, this whole movie's about to turn. And I was like, okay, that was like my favorite like part, I guess. I mean, seeing him honestly was really surprising to like the Green Goblin, like that one. I was really surprised, but then at the same time, when he did the snap, I was like, oh my God, here we go. And then when he when he beat his ass, I was like, Green Goblin, like, does he really ever lose? Like,
On it.
He did it his own stunts.
He did his own stunts
too.
That was Willem Dafoe slamming Tom Holland through 3 floors of concrete. That wasn't special effects.
Amazing.
I think he has the most fun playing that role too. Out of all those
100%,
villains, he's the most deranged. He's got the Jekyll and Hyde going on. And again, that character, you know, like seeing it like, Norman Osborn is weak. I watched him behind that coward's eyes. Like, come on, that dialogue just writes itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Shakespearean in nature. And then he's just like eating it up, and he's having fun. He's like, another Spider-Man. I get to whoop his ass. Let's go. We could talk about him for days, because that sold it for me.
Yeah, as far as like geek out moments before I like geek out over Willem, certainly the Daredevil scene, because I tried to avoid everything possible. So I think similarly to what you alluded to, like I had my theories of like what you see behind me. Like I figured Toby and Andrew would show up, didn't know how. Those were certainly like geek out moments, but I didn't know Charlie was going to be there. I hadn't seen any leaks related to that. I think people were like, that'd be cool if he was there, but I don't think there was anything confirmed, at least on my end. So seeing like him show up in my theater was really, really good in terms of like everybody kind of being on the same page. Like we are going to cheer and clap and stand and just have a really good time for the next 2.5 hours. So as soon as we saw his stick, the entire theater went batshit, just yelled. And that's what happened every single time. There was like this huge like moment that was happening in the theater, whether when Toby and Andrew had showed up later on in the movie, which I'm sure we'll talk about, like the ending action scene where a couple things had happened. Like people were just having a really, really good time watching this movie, which I think elevated my own experience. But certainly just right off the bat, it was like the first 10 minutes where we saw Charlie.
Very quick succession.
Very early.
And so I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. And the brick catch. Yeah, I was losing my mind like for 2.5 hours of this movie. I just had such a good time.
Right, the brick is part of. There's a meme going around saying spoilers without spoiling, and it's like a brick. It's someone cracking somebody's back.
It's the cobweb. It's a cobweb.
The cobweb. Right. Good stuff. Oh my gosh. Then again, plenty of moments throughout the film, and I'm sure we're gonna get into them. But here we are. You know, it's the third entry. Did anybody walk away with nothing met? With all expectations met? Like, or were we sour about anything? Did they get anything wrong?
I don't really set too many. I knew where the bar was gonna be at, so I tried to go in just to enjoy it,
right,
and not really set expectations. Now, mind you, I was halfway spoiled, like a lot of us, with the villains of who was going to show up. I think there's a lot of leaks that ended up being true, unfortunately, that I tried to avoid. But I was thoroughly entertained. I didn't have a per geekdom moment because I was in like a level of geekdom to where everything I saw, I kind of was enjoying. But what I will say is the thing that I enjoyed that really was like, oh, that's really cool. It really stuck out. That was a little different in a cameo was the Doctor Strange and Spider-Man fight.
Oh,
because we saw a lot of things there. We saw his spider senses working while he's outside of his body,
yeah.
which was pretty cool. And we saw him actually win a fight with his wits, which spoke to his character development. So he technically beat Doctor Strange by working his way out, by figuring out what math, geometry. That's true to the Spider-Man essence of him beating his villains. So for me, that was very exciting.
And I can understand that. I mean, that whole sequence was really cool because, again, this was probably the most comic booky Spider-Man film to date. You know, the multiverse, appearance of Doctor Strange, appearance of Daredevil. Like, I feel this is straight pulled from a comic, and they're really like leaning into Spider-Man is in this world versus like an Avengers world. We're broadening that. We're taking it even further because, yeah, Strange could have been one and done, mess up the spell, come at the end, and no. But now we have this whole, and really Strange is at the forefront of the, big quintessential question. It's like, do you leave people to their fate, or is there a second chance at rehabilitation or saving these people? And that really just that is the thread that moves throughout the movie. So actually, Strange was a great inclusion. I really like Strange in this movie too. Oh, but here, let me stop. I see Toasty, Supernova Toasty has joined the fray. Toasty, we missed you on opening night. What's happening, man?
Yeah, I had to go to work on Friday morning, so couldn't go watch that Thursday night like 9:30. Can't do that. But I've been hearing what you guys were saying. I agree with everything except for the spoilers. I didn't get spoiled at all on anything. I knew.
You're kidding. How did you do it?
Yeah.
How did you do it?
I missed everything. I didn't know anything that was going to happen. I knew that obviously that certain villains were going to appear like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, but that was because of the trailers. But apart from that, nothing whatsoever. I did not expect anything. I didn't expect the Daredevil guy. Nothing. So it was an amazing movie. And that's what we're talking about. Yeah,
we're talking about.
It's simple. It's just one word. It was amazing.
I'll say this about spoilers too, is that I think the marketing team deserves like a round of applause. I think if you tried your best where you like maybe block certain words on Twitter and you just allowed yourselves to like watch the trailers, have it be revealed like the villains are going to be in it, and kind of just like went along that ride with it, then I think the movie like still hit home. If you quote unquote spoiled yourself that Doc Ock was going to be in it, it's like that's like probably like the fourth like most important spoiler. I think they did a great job, and it's like I think this is a sign of like just like great marketing is where it like brings you into the movie, and that's just what it felt like they did with this, where it was like, yeah, we'll give you this breadcrumb, but you're not going to get Garfield and Toby until you see the movie. And I just think they really nailed that.
They tried though. Andrew Garfield was under hot fire from everybody. This man might catch a break.
Here for it. I am here for actors lying their ass off. I love it when it's just like, this is for the greater good. I will sin and sin and sin because this is what the people need. Jon Snow did this back when he quote unquote died. No spoilers for that.
Some people may not watch.
No spoilers for that. I love giving spoilers, then saying no spoilers.
Of course.
Anyways, I am here for actors lying for the greater good of the art. I'm here for it. I love it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
No, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I like to point out Willem Dafoe, way back before they revealed Green Goblin, they asked him, they said, are you gonna be in the film? And he says, the beauty of a film is just waiting till the film comes out. So just wait till the film comes out. I was like, that's not a no.
That's too dodgy. That's too dodgy.
And they left him alone. They left him alone after that.
They did. I mean, he's an old man. Leave the old man.
I want my actors lying their ass off, though. I need them like saying, "No, I'm not in it. Nope, not gonna be in it. I had my run."
See, nobody wanted to approach Toby because Toby would have cursed them out. You know?
Move out the fucking way.
Right.
If you guys don't know the Toby freak out, go look it up. YouTube that.
Bully McGuire.
Bully
That's what they-
McGuire.
That's
I
what
will
they call
say-
him.
Speaking of marketing, I felt like it ended up being really good marketing. That like Andrew was in the news like consistently because he was trying to market Tick Tick Boom. But of course, people were going to ask about Spider-Man, and that just so happened to give some extra attention or conversation around like his appearance, and then how people were talking about the Amazing Spider-Man. So I did think it just so happened to kind of come together. But
Yeah, like the third largest opening
doing his
weekend.
best. Mm-hmm.
To the third largest, right?
Like
that's right.
260.
Yeah, in the middle of a pandemic too. So it's like,
It's
I mean,
crazy.
What? Only behind Endgame and
Oh no,
Infinity
think
War,
it's-
right?
Isn't it ahead of Endgame?
I think it's ahead of Infinity War.
Infinity
Yeah,
War.
behind-
it's ahead of Infinity Wars.
Got it.
All right, because
I mean, yeah, the marketing team definitely deserves a round of applause on this. I agree. I think I've seen the meme where like it's the buff dog. Dog, like the meme dog. It's like it's
Right.
buff, and the buff one is like your expectations, and then it shows an even buffer dog, and it says reality. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so accurate. Like in my opinion, at least, I felt going into this movie, there were expectations. I think I was gonna be left immensely dissatisfied if I didn't see Toby, if I didn't see Sam. I was thinking Sam Raimi. If I didn't see Andrew. And just and then them getting interaction with each other, enough interaction for me to be left satisfied, and seeing all these villains interact in meaningful ways. The fact that I left without really criticizing any of those appearances or interactions on the scale that they were going for, I think they excelled their expectations. I think because most movies they don't meet those. You go in hype, and especially with Marvel, Kevin Feige likes pulling the rug underneath people's feet all the time
He
with these type of
does.
things. I was half expecting like a name drop of maybe Toby somewhere, and then he was never gonna show him. I don't know. I'm used to it from Kevin Feige. It's an abusive relationship, but
I think you can thank Amy Pascal because she's been running the Spider-Man train for a while, and though she has some ludicrous ideas,
very,
i.e., Secret Agent Aunt May, she does right by. In the end, she does right by the Spider-Man. So,
yeah, my expectations were like, I needed Toby and Andrew. I needed them in some capacity.
there is no
I needed
film
them
without them.
No, I needed them. And what I honestly expected was for them to show up, a conversation to be had. Maybe, I even really needed this. Maybe they participate in a single fight. And they blew that out of the water. They gave you scene, they gave you references to the old one. And not only that, we can probably spend a good amount of time on this, but they redeemed Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man's movies for me. They made them like, I don't even know, like watching Andrew Garfield and watching that rendition of Peter, both kind of like in a meta sense, kind of be the third guy, and kind of it seemed like he was struggling, you know what I mean? Like Toby's Peter said, yeah, I settled down with MJ. Did you ever find anybody? And he's like, no. And then he's he's still haunted by kind of Gwen Stacy and that death. And so the fact that like he's able to like share this moment, talk to the other Peters, and then save MJ, and kind of that kind of mirroring of the way he did in save
Direct
Gwen.
parallel, direct.
Just
Even the angle too, when he's looking at her like, "Are you okay?"
yeah.
Yeah. And he almost broke down too. Oh my gosh.
I'm sure those movies are still bad.
Breaking down.
Right.
I'm sure
They
those
are
movies are
still
still
bad.
not good.
They are
I'm
still
sure
bad.
they're still not
The
good.
movies are still bad, but we appreciate the redemption.
I appreciate
his
the redemption,
characterization
and
was
I
always
think
good.
I may have gone too hard on Andrew, because like honestly, I've like totally forgotten how much I actually did enjoy Andrew and Gwen's like on screen. I mean, they were dating at the time, but I really enjoyed their on screen chemistry, and I forgot about that. I like just put both those movies like into the trash and said they're bad, and forgot that they actually had maybe a couple redeeming qualities. So
there are nuggets, there are good little chunks in the Amazing series that you can take that are good. Yes, Gwen and him, but his characterization of Peter, although in the first one was kind of wonky, his characterization was always fine, to be honest. And actually, I think it really does show here. He is very much a, you know, I don't want to. I say Tom reminds me most of the Ultimate Peter. I guess Andrew does a good job of like a mainstream modern day Peter, where, you know, he's not overtly dorky like Toby is, but he's still a science whiz, and he's still like a little bit cool, I guess. I don't know. That's what I took from him. I thought he fell right back into character very well, and Toby fell back into his version of Peter very well. I was not dissatisfied at all. I was like, this is Toby. He would be asking to have his back cracked before a battle. He would be just walking around in normal clothes looking like a youth pastor. And he's like, are you going to battle like that? And he's like that is very, I feel they fell right back into character, which I love. And then I also really love, and this didn't really work with Andrew, but when he talked to Doc Ock, that was a nice little scene, you know, where he's like, Otto, he's like, Peter, you've grown. Like that. It was very nice. It was very cool. I loved it. I loved them. And I wanted more of the music from I wanted Danny Elfman. They only did it once. It is very soft, but
I heard it. I heard it when it played. It was nice.
Yeah,
it was
nice.
Honestly, this movie is actually a really good movie because it actually got me wanting to go back and rewatch the previous movies, and I actually want sequels for those movies now. Like, I know I talked to it with Dr. Jace. I would love to see a sequel with Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 4. I would love to see him as an older Spider-Man, to see what he's been up to for the last 20 years, I guess, in his own universe. I would love a sequel of Andrew Garfield because apparently he went psycho after Gwen's death and started killing people left and right. I want to see how he dealt with that. So,
how'd you put quotation mark?
He wasn't pulling his punches.
He said he wasn't. Yeah, he said
he cracked more
bones
holding
with back his
fist.
punches. That's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if those
I wouldn't say he was killing people, but like those medical bills, he was hiking them up a lot higher than he usually does.
Exactly.
Kind of like the Batman scenario where it's like, where are the other trucks? Instead he's Spider-Man, so he, you know, webs them up and then drops them from a building. But only 2 stories up.
Yeah, but honestly, I really want sequels for those movies also, and it will not affect the Marvel universe just because they're multiverse thing and they're their own universe. So if Sony is smart, I would do those movies, and I don't think people would get tired of Spider-Man because it will be different Spider-Mans. It's not the same Spider-Man. It will be different version of them, and they could go way completely different road with that, which would be cool.
I know one thing I would want to address because it's kind of interesting because this is obviously an older, at least in Toby's case, it's an older Tobey Maguire, you know, playing Spider-Man. So you can assume this Spider-Man's like in his like 40s at least. And when they're reminiscing about all the villains they fought, Toby's only mentioning the villains that he fought in Spider-Man 1 and 2, and I guess 3. But like, does that lead me to believe the last 20 years you never encountered any other new villains in his universe? So like, did Toby's universe just remain stagnant? Like post Venom and Sandman, it's just been petty crimes, you know, ever since then. I think that would be kind of cool if Sony would address that in a potential Spider-Man 4 if they ever decide to do one. Same with Andrews, which is what Toasty was saying. Homie wasn't pulling his punches for a while apparently, and I want to know who he hurt. Had to have pissed off like the wrong people occasionally, but I don't know. It'll definitely be like a weird scenario because I think Sony does kind of do their own thing with Spider-Man. They really don't care what Marvel ultimately decides. I could honestly see them deciding, you know what? The fans demand it. Let's do a Amazing Spider-Man 3. Screw it. Get Andrew on board again. And Disney's over here screaming in the background saying, the old House of Mouse. You better not. and it's like, I can see them do it. I can see them do it. Will they do it? I don't know. But I think with the reaction I'm seeing, especially in this pod and also on social media, people really took to heart and in good ways Andrew's performance as Spider-Man in this movie. Toby's performance, Toby came from a good place from Spider-Man. Andrew didn't, but people want to see these characters get, new films, new redemption arcs. That's how well they did in this movie. So I could see them potentially going back and finishing up those stories if they want to.
I'm gonna say don't do it, because I think I think this desire comes from like they just nailed these characters. They finally made Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man popular. Why roll the dice again? Like, you know what I mean? Like he was on screen for what, like maybe 20 minutes in this movie?
20 minutes.
Okay. The first both those movies are probably 2 hours. Like the first 4 hours of his first movies, Amazing Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 2, like you couldn't do it. You tried. You really tried. Just like, just walk away, on this high. You're good. Andrew Garfield, like, probably gonna be nominated for an Academy Award. Like, no reason to like.
I think you're getting choppy.
I don't know. Like, try to.
Hooperlino,
it's New York Wi-Fi. I apologize. This is. I don't. Okay.
But no, we hear what you're saying.
I mean, I was about to say I could take it from there because I feel the exact same. Part of me is like, there is this redemption. I think it also shows like just how poorly written, poorly directed, poor choices in terms of the Amazing Spider-Man, because Andrew Garfield is so talented, and we saw just even a little glimpse of that within this film. But I feel the same way. Like, part of me was like, of course I would want to see more content from them, but at the same time, like, is it because things were actually done well that now I feel like more positive? So I want to, but do I actually need it? And part of me is like, no, like I'd rather each of these individuals came back and had like this redemption arc and I leave on like a high than them try to come back and fit something just for the sake of like, because we feel so good about it. I'd rather just leave it with me feeling fine now, because I don't know what that 2-hour movie would look like. And I'm not even quite sure I would want like more exploration of the multiverse and more are really gonna get in the upcoming films that we're getting within Marvel. And I think one of my critiques overall, I think just broadly where I feel Marvel is going, is that it's gonna start to get really convoluted. Like, you have Disney Plus shows you have to watch, you have movies you have to watch. Do I have to now go back and watch these other movies from like a different company with a different actor from a different time? Like, and so I think part of me wants them to kind of stick to one path and just let us feel really good and nostalgic about what we just watched, then kind of try to revisit if they really left it on a high. But that's my perspective.
Okay, nice. Sounds like DoctahReeka. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds like DoctahReeka like just took up my baton and kept it going. I'm gonna try not to get too animated and not talk for too long, because I think that does disrupt my Wi-Fi, this New York Wi-Fi. But speaking of which, speaking of New York Wi-Fi, I think what this movie does really well, and I don't want to jump to the end, but I'm going to quickly jump to the end, is that it finally gave me the Spider-Man, the poor New Yorker, kind of like always down on his luck, Peter Parker, that I always wanted. And it just felt like, the ending kind of contextualized, like, oh, these 3 movies were trying to get this Peter Parker to that point, and they finally did. And now I understand this excitement. We always loved Toby, and this excitement, newfound excitement for Andrew Garfield. But it's like, man, we finally got Tom Holland, who I've always loved, to the Peter Parker I've always wanted. And now more than ever, I'm excited to kind of, hopefully, I know Tom Holland's kind of in his feelings about like kind of his like position as an actor and stuff like that, and like what he wants to do next, which I get, but I am ready to like kind of like see what's next for this Peter Parker that they've been establishing almost for like, including the Avengers movies for like, I don't know, 6, 7 movies.
Right.
So
it felt like an official soft passing of the baton to Tom Holland Spider-Man. That's the best way I can think about it. Where he's at now, where he can go, he can finally mature into the Spider-Man and Peter Parker that I think we enjoy the most. I don't want to generalize who Spider-Man and Peter Parker is in iterations wise, but I think, and I've been a big proponent of not liking the whole ties to Stark Industries and Tony thing that's been going on in the MCU since Spider-Man has came. They've officially cut ties. It's officially Spider-Man's story, and the two, Toby and Andrew before, served their purpose. They both had redemption in a sense, and technically, if we want to get technical, Tom Holland's Spider-Man rehabilitated the villains that they could not do in their time. So in a sense, he's the one to take over.
Spidey one.
And they made subtle references to who's 1, who's 2, who's 3, which I love. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, like, fine, I'll be 3.
Andrew was like, wait, I'm 2? Why am I 2? And then he's like, fine, I'll be 3.
So good. So good.
Chris, I saw you itching over there with a thought.
I agree with Hooperlino and DoctahReeka, because I wouldn't mind like cameos as far as like them, like maybe like little Easter eggs here and there of the older Spider-Mans, but I couldn't take another Amazing Spider-Man or Tobey Maguire movie. I'm not gonna watch it. That's just being completely honest. It'd have to be like another extremely egregiously large multiverse movie that's just like, this is the last one we're making. I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll watch that one. But if we're talking about like continuations of the stories, I can't get into it. It's just a lot. But and even continuing Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I think where the movie left off with him was a good spot. Like him having the same storyline like the other ones, old rundown apartment. No one knows that he's Spider-Man and he has like a whole new life. I think sitting right there is good. I think we're in a good spot. I don't mind seeing him again pull up in someone else's movie or like in another Avengers or something. I would not mind that, but it would feel very dragged if we keep getting Spider-Man movies. Like I just don't know how many Spider-Man movies we could really take. Like we have so many other characters to worry about, and they're adding more as we speak. So it's like I'm okay with what we got, because we have a lot of new characters to cover and a lot of ground to cover. We got like 3 different parts of the MC universe already to worry about. I don't want to worry about a Spider-Man 1-2. Like we're already talking about like looking at other X-Men. Like, oh my God, we're getting an X-Men. We're in a whole nother universe at this point. Like we're good on Spider-Man. I'll see you sometimes. I'll see you around Spider-Man, but I don't want to see you all the time.
You're good in small doses.
Exactly.
I'll say this though, with that ending, to me, it felt like they were cutting, Rose mentioned, cutting the ties to Stark. It almost felt like they were cutting ties to the MCU almost, Nobody knows Peter Parker. So the Avengers only de facto know him as Spider-Man. So that leaves a lot of ground for Peter to just kind of build a new life,
Right.
And versus piggybacking off of the established MCU, you could really, there's so many characters that they still haven't used in Spider-Man lore because they were trying to be so different. But this is the perfect time. Who?
Scorpion? Anybody? No?
Scorpion's in jail. Scorpion's here.
Scorpion.
We've already met Scorpion. We met Scorpion. The Vulture's still kicking.
We Scorpion.
We met Scorpion
at the end of the previous movie.
In Homecoming,
The dude had a scorpion tattoo.
He had a scorpion tattoo.
Oh, but he doesn't have his suit. Hold on, I need
He doesn't
Scorpion in the
He
suit.
doesn't have the suit.
Come on.
Right, he doesn't have
not-
the
Yeah,
suit.
okay, we haven't
He's
met
here.
Scorpion.
But he's here.
We
He's
need
here.
He
Scorpion.
exists. He's walking
He
around.
exists, right? You know, this,
Um,
Oscorp is not a thing yet. This is the
yet,
and
that's
yet,
a key.
and-
Yes.
And I've been saying that Stark Industries has left a vacuum for something like Oscorp to, you know,
The next
Yeah, on-
tech company come in. swoop
right?
in,
Or
take the
or
mantle.
even the weapons industry. You know, Stark left the weapons manufacturing. Perfect time for Oscorp to come in. Oh, in the 5 years of Tony Stark's stint, Oscorp, headed by young CEO Harry Osborn. Bam, there's your twist. Is that straight to Harry? No more Norman. There's your big
Right.
twist.
Right,
But I'm just saying, I think there's where they left it is the best way to leave it. Honestly, it's like moving forward.
I definitely think it's genius how they left it, because then you look back at the title of No Way Home, and at first glance you're reading it as, you know, oh, it's referring to like the multiverse business. Like, how is he going to get back home from all these characters, you know, coming into his life and ruining his way of living? But I think it also ties into that ending, because this is not Tom Holland's, I guess this is not Peter Parker's home. You know, his home is with his friend, his girlfriend, his MJ, his Aunt May. All of that is gone. He never came back home. There was no way. The second he screwed up that spell with Doctor Strange, there was no way home back. Bam, genius. I love it.
You done deep dive that theme.
I done peeled back the layers on
Those
this onion.
layers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed, I have.
I was always thinking it was about getting the villains back home, but not necessarily home to die, but home to live a better life now. And now they're all gonna live a better life. Max is not going back to that nasty comb over, and you know his
his electricity gave him a fade.
Right.
I
He's a
wonder if Jamie
good-looking guy
Foxx.
now.
I wonder if Jamie Foxx said no, not again.
He probably
We're
did.
not
He
Probably say,
did.
"Give me a
Probably
glow
did,
up,
yeah.
please. I don't want to do that. I don't want to look."
No, he said I'm pretty sure I read that Amy Pascal told him, we want you back, and here's the catch. You don't have to be blue. And he's like, oh, I'm about it. It was that simple. He didn't want to be blue.
I think the
Oh.
comb over also.
Yeah, the comb over.
Yeah, the comb
probably
over.
that too. But I mean,
Right.
he wasn't Electro yet. Speaking of Electro, the villains. I think all the villains were all very handled well, because you know it's always the
Well, not
Third
all of them.
Handle good. I wouldn't
Okay,
say
let
the
me-
whole
All
as a
of them.
complete.
well. Okay, let me
Not
rephrase.
Sandman.
In the
Not
past
Sandman.
film series, the having multiple villains doesn't ever really, it hasn't worked. It didn't work in Spider-Man 3. It didn't work in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Agreed.
Here you have the most villains you've ever had in a Spider-Man film, and it worked.
Most of it works.
Some of them got they got the short end
Overall
of the
worked.
stick.
Yes, overall it worked.
Overall, it
Right.
worked.
It used to be like a death nail in the coffin. Like it was just like, oh, if you attempt this, you're going to fail. And it wasn't the case here.
Which some of that comes from, you know, is that because these characters were already pre-established and we knew who they were, where they came from, why they're
Partially,
evil?
yes.
Right.
Partially, yes, for sure.
Yeah. We jumped
So is-
ahead.
is that
'cause,
cheating?
Yeah, we didn't.
Is that cheating?
Well, okay, well.
their myth, you know, the way they became villains is already established. You know their motivations and everything. So now all you got to do is bring them back in and just have them do the interactions that people want
Oh.
to see.
I wouldn't call it cheating. I would call it a guide for future movies. Don't introduce 5 characters in one movie and expect us to care. Flesh them out in previous movie and then bring them back together. That's way better.
Whoa! I don't know about fleshing out 5 characters in previous movies though, because then you got a
No,
whole...
that's just an example, just a basic example.
Oh,
But
no,
they did. All of the villains
yeah.
were villains that were established in previous movies, 4 to 5 different movies. The reason we enjoyed them this time is because they were fleshed out in those 4 to 5 different movies. If they were all introduced at the same time in this movie, we would not care who they are. And
Right.
that's the thing. And it doesn't have to be something where they do it over like a 2-year period. It could be something that they do over a 10-year period. Think of the Avengers movies. The Avengers are good because we saw the build up of all of the characters for like 5 to 6 years before we actually got a good Avenger movie. It didn't just all come in at the same time. And they realized the formula, stop introducing 10, 20, 50 characters at the same time, flesh them out, have them make appearance in other movies, even though they're not the main villain. And then from there, have them appear as the major character in one of the movies later down the road, which works.
Actually, that
I agree.
That's a big thing because half these movies spend time giving the origin of the villain. We complain so much about saying, oh yeah, we're tired of seeing Uncle Ben die. But in almost every Marvel film, we have to get an origin story for the villain, which takes up a good chunk of the villain. Versus this film, they're like, these villains, let's have fun. Because that's the thing. We only get to really have fun with the protagonists, because the protagonists are the only ones who are overarching and who we already had pre-established. But this time they say, all right, Green Goblin, you're a nut job. What if you were actually nuts as Norman and you were just on the run, looking homeless and having fun like that? Or like, Doc Ock, you're like a man of science. Let's give you nanotech. Let's see what he would do with that. Electro, you didn't have a fade. Let's give you a fade this time around.
That was a real upgrade.
You see, you could have fun. So to Toasty's point, cut the crap with the origin of villains. It's like, to the casual audience member, probably they're not going to understand if you just jump straight into Scorpion. But it's like, who do you cater to at this point? Because this movie was definitely for the fans.
If you
Not
were
for
interested in
casual
Spider-Man
audience
anyway,
member.
I think it hit you if you were just interested in Spider-Man in any type of way.
Yeah, and I liked what they did with where it was like Sandman's villain was kind of like, or Sandman was kind of like, didn't really know what he wanted. And then Green Goblin was like evil, but then kind of, neutral. And then back to being the big bad, while Doc Ock kind of has a flip halfway through the movie. I think they did a good job of kind of like putting them in different spots, in different positions, rather than being like, hey, here's these 5 villains. All of them are bad. They all want Spider-Man. It's like, here are 5 villains, different motivations, all know Spider-Man in some capacity, have a history with him. And not only that, some of their motivations flip and change throughout the movie. I thought they did a really good job of like kind of balancing that and hitting the right note when it came to each of these villains.
Well, it definitely flowed a lot better because we saw Spider-Man 3 and the way villains were jumping in and out, it was just convenience.
Right, yeah.
Harry got bumped on the head, has short-term amnesia. I guess he's out.
Sandman got flushed down the sewer. He's out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it felt like intentionality more than anything was like the difference between holding like 5 villains in this movie versus like some of the previous movies where it's like we're throwing all these people in there but really aren't quite sure how we're going to balance them or what we're going to do with them or how they contribute to the story, or how much space we should take up in trying to tell their story. And I think Toasty's point as far as like fleshing out villains a little earlier on, I think we see that with Loki.
Oh yeah.
Like he's been in so much that we have a strong basis as far as like who his character is, even leading up to the first Avengers and beyond, even the reset in the TV show. I think they partially did the same thing with Thanos. I think his big moment to shine was in the last 2 Avengers films, but like they alluded to him, and there were like moments to which we knew that he was kind of a part of this process of the story, that when he finally showed up, there was like an awareness that this is a bad person or alien coming to wreck shit up. So I think that there is some positives to like starting to establish or plant little Easter eggs a little earlier on. I don't know if you could do it with every single villain, but it would make sense if they're trying to, and I think they actually are starting to try to do that now, noticing like who we saw at the end of Loki. And moving forward as far as like who could potentially be like the next big bad or who's gonna kind of come in as far as a bigger villain. So I think it's worth, if you're gonna spend some time trying to build up certain characters and want people to care about them, doing it over, arcs rather than just throwing them in with no intention. And I felt like there was a good balance in this film.
Yeah, I will say they had the luxury of having these previous iterations of Spider-Man's movies already established. Like, we know they didn't plan this when they made Spider-Man 1, as opposed to how they work in the MCU now. Everything's connected. So they did have the luxury of having these villains here already established in some way, shape, or form. Some not as good as others, Kirk Connors, but still a lot of luxury to make basically, essentially, an in-game version of Spider-Man if you really want to take it there.
Oh, well, I'll save this question probably more towards the end.
Well, before you ask that question, I won't
ask it now. I'm not gonna ask it now.
Okay, I was just gonna add that the decision to kind of center Green Goblin is like the main villain out of the villains. Brilliant, just the right call. Just like absolutely the right call.
Yeah, had to.
I mean, it just makes the most sense because the rest of them have a moral conscience, you know, and he's got this duality going on where his evil persona is very strong. You know, that thing doesn't go away overnight.
And it's very internalized, like it's in his head, you know,
right?
As opposed to, you know, Doc Ock, where it was like that neural chip in his spine. All it took was like a quick fix and it's done. But yeah, I think it was the right.
You guys are absolutely right. It's like he was the first Spider-Man villain. I think he's seen generally is like Spider-Man's greatest, Spider-Man's Joker, if you will. So maybe it was obvious, but they nailed it. Like Willem Dafoe nailed it. Like him being in the center really brought a lot to the movie. If there was ever a discussion to like make Doc Ock center, like no, I don't think that you get the same movie. It was like the right decision.
All right, you tuned out just a little bit at the end, but I think we understand what you're saying. Oh, it just makes sense too because. Well, Doc Ock's character was redeemed at the end of Spider-Man 2. So I don't know if it makes much sense for him to go through a whole nother redemptive arc. Versus Green Goblin, again, he's kind of like you said, the Joker. He's a wild dog, you know, chasing after his tail. He doesn't know what he's gonna do when he gets it. And I was complaining about Spider-Man 1 with the Green Goblin not having a plan. I mean, this man didn't really have a plan either. This man just said, I don't want to go home. I want to fuck up Peter Parker's life. You know?
That's the beauty of it. That's why he's so great. He doesn't need a plan.
Yeah, he doesn't need a plan. He's just like, here's a bomb.
Out, am I? It's perfect.
Which, oh my gosh. So, you know, the quintessential scene. This is the climax, right? Where Aunt May, how I know how, you know, us three felt. How were y'all moved? Were y'all Chris, you bawled like 4 times, you said.
Yeah, 3-4 times I cried, and that was definitely the first one. And they all kept happening after that. I said, I can't get a break from this. If they did one thing, they put everything that could make you possibly feel something in like one time span. Like Aunt May died. And then, like all the other Spider-Mans hear them, and then I'll hear him, and I'm like, or feel him. So then, when they, you know, I forget his name that did Max, right? No, not Max. His best friend that Ned, yeah, that did the portal. And then you see Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But so my friend that I was with, he called it. He was like, "That's Andrew Garfield Spider-Man." I just like he just looks so different than the regular Spider-Man. I was like, okay, that does look like him. And then I was like, wait, did they hear him? I was like, wait, are they here because they felt that? And then when they all like went towards like found Tom Holland Spider-Man, there I go crying again. I'm like, I just stopped crying. So it was a lot. Like it was definitely emotional a lot, only because I could tell the connection that they all had. And then of course when Andrew Garfield saved MJ, I cried again, and I was like, here we go. Like I was like because the moment he caught her and he started crying, I was like, I was like, oh, get me out of here. I can't do this. Oh my God. It was a lot. Oh, but it was that like, I guess you can say that like really established, you know, how they really like how connected and understanding that the same Peter Parkers have for each other, which was kind of funny because you're like, these are completely different, 3 different guys from like 3 different places, but they all share the same, background. They all understand each other really well, which I thought was really cool. I was like, they're not twins, but it's like, they're the same person. So I don't know.
See, I'm afraid to say it because I'm feeling I'm going to be met with certain things,
Yeah.
but
That's okay. Put them up.
Yeah,
no,
say
no,
it.
DrJaceAttorney's with me. Go ahead, say it.
Here's my deal. I think as much as I really enjoyed the 3 films, and really just Spider-Man as a whole, I think the way that they treat women, Aunt May really wasn't all that fleshed out in a way that, like, I was sad and I cried because I cry all the time. And I was very emotional, but I don't know if I felt the same weight, maybe.
I said this.
Or what maybe they wanted me to feel in the moment. Like
I
was
said
like,
this.
Oh, shit,
Let
like,
her finish.
Oh, no, I know. I'm agreeing with her. I'm with her. I said this.
Let
Like, it
her
was
finish.
sad. I was sad. But part of me too was like, I wish, and I actually feel this way partially about MJ as well, that like, I wish there was some degree of connection that I had to them outside of their connection directly to Peter, which I get why that's the case, because this is his aunt and that is his girlfriend. But like, I don't know. There's still some kind of barrier there that allows me to like fully invest in this moment. And part of it maybe I feel is that like, I don't know if I got a lot of time with her. And maybe because when the Uncle Ben thing happened, I do have the comics to kind of have that connection to, even if I know that is coming. And so this was something that was unexpected. I think the moment to which she shared the typical, with great power comes great responsibility and whatnot, I was like, oh, okay, like cool. They threw that in there. And I think that shared moment between the Spider-Men when they were like, oh yeah, my Uncle Ben said that before he died. And like, I thought that was a cool connection, but there was something about it that didn't quite get me. And I don't know if it's because I have critiques regarding the lack of like full characterization of women, if hopefully that changes in the future, because I think there's some really cool spider women type characters. Literally there is a Spider Woman, but regardless, yeah, I think there's something that like, I'm not fully like, I cried, but not in the way I cried whenever the Spider-Man showed up, when Andrew caught MJ, when I think there were more moments that felt more emotionally impactful for me.
Also,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Because also, they already did it in Spider-Verse. Oh, Miles. Oh, I lost my Uncle Ben. Oh, I lost my Peter Parker. They already did this. They already did this.
I thought that was cool though.
They already did
Yeah,
it.
they did that in
No, but they needed to do it in this
Spider-Verse.
movie because
They needed
before
to.
that moment
Yes.
happened,
Yeah.
Tom Holland's Peter Parker thought he was the only one going through that pain, that they didn't understand why he was going through this trying to figure it out and trying to rebuild the responsibility portion of it. So you needed that interaction to bond these 3 characters together. We talked about this. I don't know why you act like we didn't talk about it.
We talked about this.
But well, they weren't here. They weren't here for this conversation. All I'm saying is, it's okay that they did it.
Yeah,
We all
I'm not
need-
against it.
Right,
I think it was needed. I just don't know if it connected to me. And that's a me.
Well,
I think maybe
I
could've been
agree
because-
as well. I agree not with that, but I agree with Aunt May. Aunt May's great power, great responsibility didn't really connect to me, only because we were just now getting the establishment of her relationship that, okay, Peter, you need to go, help these people. And we were just now getting that. So she hadn't really earned it. Not saying that she needed to, but it just would have helped with the weight of the scene. I think the whole scene was still heavy and still, in a sense, had to happen. She didn't have to go, but had to happen in the sense of him to really know the weight of what he was dealing with. But when she delivered the classic line, I was like, okay, I guess the line's here, and I guess May's about to go.
We got it.
Well, also after years of avoiding the line, didn't think they were actually going to say it.
Right. I think they
Yeah.
always alluded to it in the first
did.
Homecoming,
They did.
or not first Civil War, I think.
Yeah, in Civil War, yeah, he
Right.
basically gave a synonym or euphemism.
Very
it.
similar. He might as well have said the same thing.
Right. Shoot, even Andrew Garfield's Uncle Ben never actually said it, and yet he says it in this film.
But he said it.
Yeah.
I
was-
you can go.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think one, I was surprised they said it. I thought they were gonna like, I don't know, loop around it. And when they said it, like my overall theory about the movie is that it's like a celebration of Spider-Man and like Spider-Man in films. So like her saying the line is both like, you know, a shout out to I guess Spider-Man 1 when it was originally said and all those other moments. I feel like structurally that scene, I liked it for, you know, what it means to Peter and kind of like the role it needs to play. And emotionally though, I want to say similar to DoctahReeka, I don't think I connected with it, except I thought Tom Holland really acted his ass off in that scene. And
he did.
I cried, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because it's like in Infinity War, I'm one of the very few who, when Spider-Man dies and gets snapped, that did not hit me the same way.
Blasphemy.
And I say that because I honestly, I think younger actors, I feel like they tend to overact when it comes to these superhero movies. And I felt like in that scene, Tom Holland went way too far.
Oh.
Well, hold on. I felt similar to, I thought, well, it was just like he was acting like he was in, you know, I don't know, like a Paul Thomas Anderson drama. You know, it was just like, you know, calm down. You're in Infinity War. Chill out. And I felt similar
You're
to
about
Florence.
to be wiped from existence. Chill out.
Well, I felt similar to Florence Pugh and Black Widow, where there are like some scenes where I'm just like, yo, Florence, I love you. You're doing a great job. You can dial this back. This isn't Little Women. You know, you can have some fun here. And I felt like he found that perfect kind of like middle ground in that scene with Aunt May. He found it. He didn't go too far, and he gave you exactly what you needed. And so from that perspective, it did hit me, and I teared up a little.
Without sounding like a douchebag, how do I say that?
I
was waiting for it to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Proceeds to say something like a douche.
I was waiting for that scene to be over because I was getting tired of it. Honestly, I didn't care for Aunt May.
What?
There we go. I feel like she had no screen time in the previous movies. I feel like Tony Stark interacted more with Peter than Aunt May did, so I didn't really care for her. I feel like it was the best character to die. That was also the least important character to also die. If it was MJ, it would have been different in a way. And personally, I just did not care. I was more affected when Toby was stabbed in the back at the end of the movie. I was like, oh no, don't kill Toby. But for Aunt May, I was like, when is this girl gonna die? She's been dying for a while now. Like, let's go.
Oh my goodness.
It's time to move on. I really did not.
You said you were not trying to sound like a douchebag?
I still have tried that I was not gonna do, but you know, whatever. But no, like really, I did not care. I was like, okay, like she's dead now.
She's fighting for her life.
She should have stopped fighting.
He motivated Peter to keep going.
At one point, you have to let go.
No, she's like,
it was the leg.
I can walk this off.
I was like, come on, like let's go. It's time to go, Peter. Like she's not gonna get any better.
I can't.
But that's I mean, yeah. I just for me, like Aunt May was not fleshed out. It didn't matter as a character. If it was Happy, it would have been different. Any of the other characters, his best friend, I would have been different. But for her, it's like the few scenes she was in the movie was like, oh, hey, Peter, hey, Aunt May, and that was it. You never saw them really interact with anything. I don't even know what the relationship was together. We know she was a great person, but what was the relationship with Peter? I can't tell you that.
I mean, maybe everyone, because she didn't have like a huge influence in this movie in particular. But I don't know.
The series.
Oh, no, this was the biggest
in this movie,
she
she had the biggest influence.
Right.
She influenced him.
That's the bad part.
Well, wait. I'm saying as far as like what we're seeing from her, like as far as the interaction I guess she's had with everybody. Like she seems like you don't really get a lot of her But honestly, I feel like we do get a lot of her in the previous movies. I think she's in there good enough. I don't think. I mean, are we expecting Peter Parker to be going to school with Aunt May every day? Like, are we expecting him to come home? Like, there's like so many other Avenger characters, and he's dealing with Tony Stark in this one, and the previous ones.
So
like
you
in
say
the other
Aunt May doesn't
Spider-Man
matter?
Yeah, like in the other ones, like he's had.
No, he's
like,
saying she does.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, like she does like have like, and I was saying like in all, I mean, she really has had like a sort of, she's been flushed out here. Like she's been like kind of centered in the previous movies, but not, I think everyone's expecting like how in the first Spider-Man we got like Aunt May, like that was his life. Like we were very invested in Spider-Man's family, but in these previous ones that we just got with Tom Holland, we're more so looking for his interaction with the Avengers and how it ties into, you know, like, Infinity Wars and like this movie now. So I guess I understand what everyone's saying, but I don't think she didn't play a vital role. I still felt it because it's still Aunt May, and I'm like, this is Hot May, so I'm like, she's very centered like in this universe to be like his, life. Like that's his, like who he looks up to, like that's who he talks about, like when he's not around her, like we do hear her name a few times. So it kind of hit, like when that thing hit her, I was like, okay, this is hitting me because I understand like the previous movies and where she plays, but this one, she did not have a lot. But again, we're dealing with like multiple people here.
No, she had the most in this one. She had the most.
I don't think so. I think like she didn't play the same role that she played in the previous movies. I think because of how she was talking about her morals. Yeah, like how she didn't think, he should be going around killing people and he should help everybody. But I think that was like kind of just throwing her like in there, so to say. Like, I didn't think they did enough there. They just kind of like, yeah, like you just feel shitty. You just don't want him to kill anyone. That's just about it. Like,
yeah, it's like in a TV series where a character gets a whole lot of emotional scenes, and then you realize, oh snap, this character's about to die. That's what happened.
I mean, I feel like she got enough though in the last two movies.
Yeah,
I feel like
she was a joke in the last two movies.
Yeah,
all they ever did was establish that Happy Hogan and her had a fling. That was it. And Tony Stark thought she was hot, and that's it. That's it.
Yep. Listen, Aunt May was always involved in Peter's life in the Homecoming, and I think that's just the purpose with her character, right? I think the point of it was she was so involved in his life, both when he was just being a student in high school as Peter Parker and when he was Spider-Man, because at the end of Homecoming, she realized he was Spider-Man, and we leave off on that comedy note. She's like, oh, what the hell? And then in Far From Home, she's all for it. She's supportive of him because she realizes, like, this is something amazing that my nephew is doing, and I'm gonna support him 100%. I think at that point, like, that's all you needed from Aunt May for a scene like this to matter, right? Where she dies, she is involved in Peter's life. She's not just some background character that doesn't.
Like, I didn't call her background.
I know.
I did.
Well, there are wrong opinions. I understand, but listen, I think Aunt May, could she have been done better? Yes, but I think for the purposes of just trying to make that scene emotional, I think they did the bare minimum of what was necessary for what was established, at least in the previous two.
I will say it had to be her.
Well,
for the way the story was set up, the movie,
right.
it had to be her.
Well, for the story setup, yes. But let me ask you this: who did you feel for more, when she dies, or when Peter passes up on talking to Ned and MJ in the coffee shop?
Ned and MJ.
But why are you doing that?
I did both.
What do you mean?
Yeah, there we go.
Everything.
I don't know if it's black and white.
Say both.
No, one of them is
They
orange.
both hit.
Orange.
What do you mean?
You can't get Aunt May back. You
Both
can't
of
get
them
her
hit in
back.
different ways, though.
You-
The first scene you're hitting based on a character's death, and this is his rock. Listen, Hooperlino even said it. Tom sold it. Tom sold it.
Yeah,
on the-
right.
Sold it. Sold it.
I am
I
not
felt his
talking about
pain.
his acting
He
in
felt
that
it.
scene.
And I could tell that he took notes from Andrew's portrayal when he lost Gwen, because he didn't even want to accept Gwen Stacy being dead yet. He was like, "You're okay, right? Like you're fine, you're fine." And then he realizes, "Oh my God, no, she's not. She's dead. She's gone." I feel like Tom did such a phenomenal job there. And then so now you're doubling back to the ending.
You can't do that.
Where he's saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna let them, live their life." So that
I'm just asking, where did you feel
think-
one more than the other?
But
The second one-
by that time, he's lost pretty much everything.
But this one was different because he had a choice in this matter. He didn't have a choice when losing Aunt May.
Right?
she's gone.
Speaks to his maturity and his character development.
It
Yes.
sure
A
does.
lesson learned.
despite losing
Which-
Aunt May, he still chose no.
But you gotta remember,
Which I
you gotta
think-
remember, Aunt May was the catalyst for that growth development.
Right, which is
Living
why I think
and
that
when she
ending-
passed.
Which is why that ending scene hits a little more.
And that's true. What's that got to do with you comparing the two?
It feels like lesson
I'm not
learned. Like he
I'm not
deserved
necessarily
it.
comparing the two, but
You said which one was better?
oh, fine.
The second one was
Redaction.
better. Just stick by your word, Grandmaster.
Listen,
The
listen,
second
all
one
I'm
was
saying
better.
is this: did you feel for that scene? Don't you feel for Peter?
Yes.
Yes. And the second scene more. The
Yeah,
first
okay,
scene.
thank you. Okay.
No.
I don't
I
know
felt-
what
I
I feel
felt-
though,
I felt like
because
I
it
felt
feels
this
like
was
he's
a
making the
lesson
right
learned.
decision.
Yeah,
He is
I was
making the
like,
right
was
decision.
the right decision.
Yeah, I was like, you better leave
It
them
was the
alone, you
selfless
psycho.
decision. It wasn't the right decision. It was the selfless decision.
It was the right decision.
And
No.
selfless
It
can
was
be
the
right.
right-
It is right.
It
No,
was right.
No, there. See, that's a
You
gray
can't be
line.
Spider-Man in Boston. Like, what's he gonna do?
Listen, this movie blurs the line between morality. Okay, there's a gray line. There's a gray area for. He could have easily told them and still made it better. Like, hey, you can't come on missions with me. You can know my identity, but I can only talk to you in the coffee shop. He could have made it work. It's doable. Tony Stark, everybody knows Tony Stark, and everybody knows who Tony Stark loves.
Tony Stark
Tony
has
Stark
the funds
built his
to support
relationships in a cave with a box of scraps. And all Tony Stark's people are alive.
I'll give
All
you
of
that
them are
one.
alive. Not a single one of Tony Stark's people are dead. You mean to tell me Peter Parker can't do the same thing?
Tony Stark has the funds to live a life that is supportive of that decision. We see the apartment Peter is living in at the end.
Where'd he
Doesn't
get
have
that
rent.
money from?
Rent? Like, he
Life
Where'd he
doesn't
get
have
that
insurance.
money from? Where'd he
Life
get that money
insurance.
from? Life insurance? He doesn't exist.
Oop, Tony's gone.
No, I'm talking about
Tony's
Peter.
gone.
Where'd he get
But Tony's
He-
gone.
he-
You said
he-
everybody in Tony's life is alive, but he's gone.
Like
Right,
he protected
but-
everyone.
Tony had everybody coming after him. You mean to tell me his protege didn't take a couple of notes on how to have your identity known to
You're
protect the
right.
ones you love still?
Step one, have $2 billion in my bank
Yeah,
account.
step one.
Next.
I mean, also, isn't the entire purpose of the last three movies to show that he didn't know what he was doing and wasn't making the right choices until now? Like, this was
Yes.
the whole arc was like, I am a teenager who has these powers and has access to all this tech, but like I make poor choices, which I think was smart until the very end, in which like he had the choice to, okay, I could tell them my identity or I could not, knowing kind of the impact, because at this stage of my development as a person, I recognize the consequences of like every single action I take, no matter how strong I am, no matter what I have access to. Like, that's the whole point of the entire arc of the last three movies, is choice and what results in that choice. And eventually you have to make the hard ones, even if that kind of hurts either yourself or the people that you love. And yeah.
Well said.
I think that,
Jesus.
I just like
said.
stirring the pot. I think that's very well said.
How
I felt
contrarian.
more I'm comparing, but I'm not. I felt more because there was the choice. Because the choice was there, I felt more for that scene. And Aunt May, it's not like he could have had a choice to rush her to the hospital. There was no choice. She's dead on sight.
He had a choice to kill Green Goblin. He could have.
Man, he should have killed Green Goblin.
He was presented
for stabbing
twice. Toby, but see, because I kind of griped on it in our initial reaction on the fake out, right?
The fake out, okay.
Where Toby gets stabbed, but then when you think about it, that's really not the point of the scene. On like trying to showcase Toby's is he gonna die? It's to show that like he was ready to kill Green Goblin. He was going for the kill,
and then he stopped.
And then he stopped. And this is someone that is telling him, don't do this. It never works out in the end if you go this route. Green Goblin doesn't care. He's like, screw mercy. and he stabs Toby. So then from there, in Tom's perspective, he's like, Toby just told me to not do this. And this guy just showed me how much of a terrible person he is. There's no redeeming him. At that point, he could have just gone for the kill, but he still chose to save him. Andrew tosses him the serum, bam, lethal injection into the neck. I'm surprised he didn't hit the jugular, but he injected him, and I thought it was perfect. He could have still perfect. He still could have killed him, but I think
he should have died.
What a fight! I mean, he beat the mess out of him.
He sure did. God. He needed to.
He had it coming.
Yo, this was the most brutal, I think.
So this was the darkest. This was the darkest of the at least the MCU Spider-Man.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Well, I mean, Mysterio gave him a thrashing, but not like a physical.
Yeah, but like, Mysterio wasn't like I'll kill you. It was like I'll kill you if I have to, but I'm just a narcissist. Green Goblin's like a psychopath. So
I like this. This is fun. Yeah, the lunatic comes around with a sadistic choice.
Well, I guess speaking of the ending, and I think this was alluded to in our little group chat, like how different and refreshing it felt, that it wasn't like this world-ending plan or things falling from the sky. Like we have one centered location where all the characters are kind of coming together, and I thought the fight sequences were cool. Seeing the three of them not know how to interact with each other and then try to figure out how to interact with each other. I felt there was something that felt refreshing with this like ending fight scene, knowing that was going to come regardless, because that's what MCU movies do, compared to some of the last few that we've seen that just felt like this big, either the world is going to end like the Eternals, or things are falling from the sky like Black Widow, etc. This felt a little bit more contained, and as a result, fun for me, along with 3 Spider-Men. But
and it made a lot of sense too. The other dude never worked on a team before. I mean, the most Toby's done is rode the skateboard with Harry. And I don't know, Gwen playing a coach on the sideline, calling shots. But it was a lot of fun. They're over here like, web this guy, or I gotta go watch it again. I know it was a lot of fun. Yeah. They faltered in the beginning, and then they got it together. It was cool to see. It was very cool to see. Very, and it was even funny. Tom was like, I don't want to brag, but I'm I'm a part of the Avengers.
Oh wow, the Avengers.
Like what the
hell is that? What is that?
I love that screams Toby's Peter Parker. He would naturally play along like, oh yeah, that's congrats, man. I don't know who that is.
Right. And then oh my gosh, Andrew's like, are you in a band? Like, what a nerd. But it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun. They had great chemistry.
They had great chemistry.
Very.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they didn't overstay their togetherness. I'm glad that they brought them in the time that they did, and they were on screen for that time. I think it was a perfect amount of time for them to be redeemed and for us to just love what was going on there and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Speaking of their on-screen chemistry and the photo behind DoctahReeka, I just felt like that scene right there, where they're just kind of like wanting to talk to each other, but literally don't have the words or don't know what to say was so awesome, because it really just felt like the three actors, the only three actors ever to play, Spider-Man on live action film, just kind of looking at each other and being like, this is an experience that only we three share together. And it just felt like they're like, hey, just look at each other, and like, we're gonna have the cameras rolling. It didn't feel like they needed to give them any direction. It just felt like, hey, let's just share a moment and like think about like, who we are, what we got to experience. And that was so cool. That was such a cool scene. And Tom Holland literally can't find the words, because like there are no words. Like, these are the only three Spider-Man, and they just like got to share a cool moment and the experience of being Spider-Man that only they know.
Bittersweet.
Very bittersweet. I guess the final question.
I mean, this was a question posed to me and I didn't answer it. Someone said we should talk about it here on the table. Granted, I don't think they knew we did the initial reaction, nor did they know we were going to do a follow-up. Apparently it's a heavily debated topic. I don't think so, but I hear they said Spider-Man No Way Home or Endgame, which I don't think it's fair at all. A fair question.
But what's the question?
That's the question.
Which
one is better?
Which
I
one?
guess.
Oh, that's the question.
I don't.
That's what someone
like
said.
I don't like.
I don't
that
really
question.
like it either. I don't really like it.
Yeah. No.
No, I don't.
I don't think they're in
like
the
it.
same league.
I would say Endgame, like, I don't know, it's not the same type of
Yeah, no, Endgame.
Yeah.
like, it's not supposed to be the same thing, like, in comparison to each other.
It's not. It's...
I would like to see the debate. I think it was over on Facebook. I would like to see it.
I guess you can maybe the minor comparison you can make is Endgame is the culmination of all those MCU films into that one movie, and then No Way Home is the culmination of all the Spider-Man movies. Even though they're not all tied to each other, it is a celebration of those films that came before it.
Right.
So I can see it in that light, but it's still two different things. Like I can't.
I think you can view it from a similar lens, but I don't think you can compare it to. I mean, that's a massive. Endgame is. I said Endgame earlier, but I didn't mean like comparing the two in the sense of which one.
Right.
Because Endgame is just the MC universe is massive at that point. The amount of movies and the weight and everything, it's just a whole different tone. I will say I did like this better than Endgame personally.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
I see. I think that's what. Yeah,
I'll say
which
that.
one?
But I don't think it's from like a better. I just think I'm a Spider-Man fan, so I'm gonna lean towards Spider-Man biasly anyway. So.
Well, it's easy to stop the debate. We can just say Eternal is the best movie. And those are
Can you just shut up?
my dude, you know what? 10 years from now, you're gonna wake up and say Toasty was right. Eternal was a masterpiece.
I will say, I think, I don't know if I would compare the two of them beyond just like the culmination element. I think because once the MCU got on track, Endgame was the end. Like, this is what they were leading towards. I don't know if someone had already said this earlier today, that they knew they would be able to do this, like, movie, like that they would put all these characters back together again. I think Endgame always intended to have just like 20 plus movies put together into like one big story once they kind of figured out that they could do that and that they were doing that. I think Spider-Man just happened to like, we were able to bring these people in, and I think it's worth doing some of that because so I don't, it's hard for me to compare the two. I will say, I think my experience of watching this one, because the Tobey Spider-Man movies were like some of the first I remember like watching superheroes, and along with like X-Men, like, and I have a close emotional tie to them because like I watch them with my father, and like we go and watch comic book movies all the time, and he's the one who introduced me to all this and would tell me stories. So there's like an emotional investment, but like me watching this one felt a little different than when I watched Endgame, where it was like I was mainly a teenager to adult when all the MCU stuff was happening, but I was a kid when like Spider-Man was first introduced to me. So there was like an emotional element that felt a little different when I was watching this film compared to Endgame, but I don't think I will compare it beyond that. in saying like one is better than the other. I could, but they feel different though. I don't know if it's a debate I would want to be able to participate in and have a clear answer on.
Right. I want to see screenshots of the conversation. Yeah. Nostalgia factor is big for this film. Endgame is just more of a, just the culmination of 20 plus films, and you got what you really wanted, but this movie you didn't know what you were gonna get, because in scheme, Sam Raimi didn't have the plan to put Toby on screen with 2 other iterations, so this one was more of a shot in the dark, whether or not it'd be good or whether or not it would work. Endgame, you knew it was gonna work. You knew you were gonna geek out the whole time. This one just it served its purpose as a Spider-Man film. Again, I need to go give it a second watch. But yeah, I'm gonna try to dig more into this debate to see what they're really saying.
I think the better question, rather than comparing it to Endgame, is this the best Spider-Man movie? Best
Right, that's a better
Spider-Man
question.
movie.
That's a better question to ask.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes. Okay. We got one. Yeah. And obviously it's if we're just comparing like mainline live action Spider-Man movies, the only thing that ever really comes close to it is Spider-Man 2, right? So the question is it better than Spider-Man 2? Is
or
this
3
movie? Or 3,
he
yes. Or 3.
Wait,
honestly,
so Into the Spider-Verse is not in the conversation?
Live action. They said live action.
I would say live action,
okay,
because
all right.
Into the Spider-Verse just cannot be
That's
beat.
the GOAT.
Let's be honest.
Into the Spider-Verse. That's the
What?
GOAT.
It's the
That's
GOAT. It's the GOAT.
All day.
But let's make it easier. Let's make it easier on everyone. Live action Spider-Man only. All the films.
Make it tough. Make it tough.
Yeah, make it tough.
Okay,
go
fine.
big. We
Into the
did a whole
Spider-Verse.
ranking with all the films.
Into the Spider-Verse. I still don't think it's better than Into the Spider-Verse, but it's because of what Into the Spider-Verse was able to do with its animation and just the way it presented its story.
That's okay. That's all part of it. That's all part of it.
I enjoyed it more, but I'm knocking Spider-Man 2 down. This is my number 2. No Way Home is my number 2. Spider-Man 2 is number 3. It got knocked down.
I can get with that.
That's fine. You're not hurting me.
Who said it was about you?
I didn't say it was about me. I just said you're not hurting me. I have to give it a second watch, but the more I keep thinking about it, it could be better than Spider-Man 2.
You let it simmer. It took me like a day, two days.
I need a second watch. Okay.
That's fair.
So I will come back to this question.
How does everyone else think? How's No Way Home rank?
Spider-Man 3, obviously the best one. Then Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. That movie is just amazing. The animation, I'm a big fan of animated movies, especially if they're really mature. So that is definitely second place. Spider-Man 2 is better. And then this movie. I thought,
You realize no one can take you seriously if you're putting Spider-Man 3 as number 1. Because I know you don't think Spider-Man 3 is number 1.
You do not
like
know
Spider-Man 3.
That's
like
on my check. You do not have
be his
superpowers to read my mind.
Do you know this?
Yes, I'm an American. I'm entitled to my opinion. God bless this country, right? But no, Spider-Man 3 is an amazing movie. Come on, emo Spider-Man, the dancing, amazing. But seriously though, Into the Spider-Verse is the best movie out there, hand down. The animation movie, the music, the story, just the relation between Miles, his dad, his uncle, everything, the other Spider-Mans, everything was just on point. There were almost zero problem with that movie. I can't think of an issue I had with that movie. Spider-Man 2 is close to home, at least for me, because that was the first Spider-Man movie that the first hero movie I remember liking a lot. That made me, I guess, animate, the comic book heroes. It made me a fan of those guys. And of course, this movie is good, but this movie also relies on nostalgia from the other movies. And that's why I have to give the previous movie, a ledge over this movie. I only like this one because I love Doc Ock, I love Green Goblin. All those characters were in the previous movies, and because of that, Spider-Man 2 has to be better. It just is. If Doc Ock was horrible in Spider-Man 2, we were not gonna love him in this movie, and that's why.
Well, that's not true. That's not true.
I mean,
Because
they could have redeemed
we
him.
enjoyed Andrew Garfield.
Right.
That's not the Andrew Garfield movie did not exist, so I don't know what do you mean by Andrew Garfield? What's that?
Fair enough.
There we go.
He's in a
So,
different universe.
Different universe. Let's just set that aside. That's the only thing that should have been forgotten, not Peter Parker. Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is definitely second place, and this is a close third. But again, it relies on the previous movie villains to get us hyped, and the only reason those previous movie villains are good is because the original movies were so good. I mean, Spider-Man 2 came out almost 20 years ago, and we still talk about it. That's pretty impressive. It still set the bar high. I'm sure you guys can go back, and if we have a discussion, we can go back and remember specific scene from that movie that we remember liking as kids. That's what makes it such a good movie. And the fact that we're still debating to see if it's in second or third place or first, that's why for me it has to be on top. But Miles, my man, has it first, obviously. And then there's third place.
I'm not gonna disagree with you.
I think Toasty raises a lot of great points and similar things that I was thinking of. How much this movie does rely on how much we enjoyed the previous movies. We talked about like the villains and how, we didn't need their backstories because they were already established. Well, that was put on the backs of, honestly, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, because it's not like Electro. It kind of redid Electro. It wasn't even like, the Amazing Spider-Man's Electro was in this movie, to be honest. We also talked about like not comparing Endgame to this movie, and that's kind of like where I'm at, where I have trouble comparing this movie to Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2 is a perfect movie, a perfect superhero movie. I think the way it depicts just how shitty Peter Parker's life is so great. Like the fact that he can't make it to see MJ. He loses his job delivering pizza in like the first 5 minutes. He can't even deliver pizza. It is so good. He can't do nothing right, and his life really sucks. And yet he's Spider-Man. It is just so good. The train scene, iconic. And then when we talk about like kind of like the state of superhero movies and how everything's connected, I want to say Spider-Man 2 did like the kind of the tease of what's next, if not first. They did it the best first with Hobgoblin, Harry's Goblin, like when Harry hears Willem Dafoe and like here's Willem Dafoe, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, like here's the guy from the previous movie, and then finds the glider to kind of tease what's coming next. That is the formula that the connectivity formula that the MCU built the entire empire off of. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man 2 did it first, or did it the best first. Like I don't know, and it's just so good. And with that said, this movie was so much fun. No way, I get the homes confused. No Way Home was so much fun. Like probably one of my like favorite theater going experience, the way that I think these MCU movies can only really capture in a long time, maybe since Endgame. So I really liked it. I just don't think I can put it over Spider-Man 2 for all the reasons I just said, and it's hard for me to compare them. But I think gun to the head, I'd still go Spider-Man 2.
What about Spider-Man 3?
I have to go back and watch it. I think some of the stuff like the dancing and the emo Peter are probably a little little overstated.
You don't have to go back and watch it. You don't.
Never mind.
I think
You lost me. Let's move on.
I think Venom needs to. Venom should have got his own movie. Venom should have been in Spider-Man 4, and I think maybe that movie could have been redeemed. But I think Sam Raimi had to do it. Like they had to include Venom. Like he wasn't really given a choice, from what I've heard. So.
Yeah, it was a gun to the head, essentially.
It is what it is.
He's gonna be in this movie.
But I want to do Sandman.
Oh, you can
no
do
one likes
him.
Sandman.
But I have a question about Venom in this movie, and I probably just didn't see it, or I probably just am overlooking something. But when everybody went back to their own universe, which one did he go to? Like,
He went back to his own universe. We don't know where his universe stands in the grand scheme.
Wait, whose universe?
Multiverse. Venom.
He went back to his Venom universe, right?
But no, he
Tom
means
Hardy.
is
Like-
there any Spider-Man in that Venom universe?
yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
I mean, when you're like looking at it, I mean, you only really, everybody that like went to this universe was from a Spider-Man universe. We didn't get like any other extra. I guess Venom may have.
Well,
his
we about to
own-
go into plot hole territory, and I know we're wrapping things up, but you
here we
just made
go.
me realize there's a big plot hole.
There's a glaring plot hole, but I think there's an explanation for it. Go ahead.
There are
Wh-
no
what-
explanations.
I
Is
think
it a
there
glaring
is.
plot hole?
Go ahead. I
Go
want to
ahead,
hear
point
that.
it
Well,
out.
the spell was it brought over anybody who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Venom
Okay.
ain't never met Peter Parker nor Spider-Man.
But at the end of Let There
And-
Be Carnage, whether you believe it or not,
The hive mind.
the hive
The
mind.
hive mind.
Boo.
Venom
Explain
said-
Electro.
Did he not?
Explain
Did-
Electro.
He said he.
Explain
What do you mean?
Electro.
What do you mean explain Electro? What are you
Electro
talking
didn't know Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
He didn't.
No.
No, he didn't. You're right.
I
He did
forgot.
not.
I don't remember.
Foolishness.
I feel like he's
And-
too big of a villain for them to overlook that.
Yeah, in defense of No Way Home, I don't care.
I mean, yes, I don't care either, but the question about Venom shouldn't even be there, period. Like,
I mean, it was pretty much a tease that was just thrown out the window immediately.
because Kevin Feige said,
Ew.
right, Kevin Feige said, no.
Amy Pascal, what? She put her on a napkin.
He said, yes, why not? It'll always be that back and forth. It'll always be that back and
I just don't know why they went out their way to like leave like when Venom went back, he had that like extra leftover part of him in Tom Holland's world.
because it's coming for Tom.
It's coming for Tom.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what's the direction we're looking at. Like what?
Black suit.
I mean, cool, but like what? So like, is this Venom gonna like? Oh, I come from another universe, or like gonna like even hint at the other Venom movies or
We don't
anything?
know. He could.
Yeah.
He might say, "I'm not from this world," and that's all we're probably gonna get. He'll say, "Do you know Tom Hardy? I know Tom Hardy." And
Do you guys not care that Tom Holland seems like he doesn't want to come back, or do you think he's pulling from like the Robert Downey Jr. playbook and like kind of saying this stuff so he can get a higher pay raise when it's time to pay up?
Oh, I don't think
think-
he's about the money.
I don't think he's there yet.
I think he's taking a break. I think he will come back. I think he just
I
wants to
think
take
he
a
will.
break.
Oh yeah, he'll come
Yeah,
back.
he will be
yeah.
back.
Okay, all
He
right,
says-
all right.
But
I
Sony-
know what Hooperlino's saying though, because like he said like in interviews leading up to No Way Home, like he wants in
To do
general this,
other things.
he wants to do other things. He wants to retire from acting.
Right.
Start a
He says he wants to be a
family.
regular
He
person.
wants to start a family.
Right.
Yeah, let
Amy
me be a
Pascal-
regular person after making one of the most successful movie of the decade.
The
But what
thing
does
is though,
Zendaya
he's
want?
young.
What does
He's,
Zendaya want?
He's not like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, who had been around the block and like had seen like the ups and downs of success and was like, yo, this is a good paycheck. I'm gonna like stick with this as long as they want me. Like he's
Pretty
like, yo,
good.
I'm 25. I just ran through 3 Spider-Man movies. I was in the Avengers. Like I could see him, and I'm not like basing this off of anything, but I could see him like maybe wanting to go a Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio route. Like he's kind of in that phase.
Yeah, I would love that. Honestly, I would actually
well,
love
But
that.
Sony,
Well,
Sony online.
the thing that we haven't really been talking about is like like, I don't want to step out of line, but I think this is Tom Holland's hottest movie. Am I wrong? Like, he looked
yes.
He looked fantastic. He looked fantastic in this movie.
Are we being
and it's
thirsty?
like I'm ready to be
I
thirsty.
never get to be thirsty.
He looked
I'm
great
never ready
in
to
this
be thirsty.
movie. He looked so
He
good
did.
in this movie. He's stepping out of that boyish phase, and he's like kind of entering that, like, yo, I'm kind of a man now, but not quite there. It's like he's in that
Metaphorically
perfect
and
spot.
physically, apparently.
He's slowly
Yes,
becoming a
no.
Giga Chad. Yeah.
He had his shirt off in that one scene. I was like, okay, Zendaya, I see you. Like, I get it. Like,
it's
I was
most
like,
tone.
I said the same thing. I said, I know that's right. Like,
That's the most toned we've ever seen.
Yeah, he looks fantastic.
he looks fantastic. So I don't know. I could see him wanting to be like, yo, like, all right, I've done this. Like, maybe I can go off and do other things.
Like
I don't
Scientology.
know. Like, you guys seem like, yo, he's got it in the bag. He'll be back. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, he could try other paths.
I think what I see happening is I don't think there's going to be like a solo Spider-Man movie for a while. So similarly to, like, I don't think there's going to be an Avengers movie for a while. Like, there'll be team up movies, so we see them in other films, but I don't think there's going to be anything called The Avengers for a little while. I don't know if we'll see Spider-Man like on its own for a little bit. Because I think part of it is what you've already said, that I think when you look at his IMDb page, he has like 5 projects lined up that are completely different from each other. So he's about to be in Uncharted, which has already been filmed. He just got like a Fred Astaire role. Like, so he's starting to venture into some other territories because he is talented and he's also 25, and so he can. So I have a feeling that he may come back. I just don't think it'll be like in 2 years, like the other films, because it was what, 17, 19, 21 as far as his like solo films.
Oh, yes.
Right.
We're throwing out the team up, just the solo.
Yes.
And so that's like every 2 years. I think, he's going to slow down. I feel like he's going to keep working, and it'll just be some different projects. Because I mean, he went from, I think his last movie was Cherry, which was like a very serious attempt at drama and an epic and kind of this multi-layered character, which there were some critiques of, but a lot of folks said he was very good. And it was kind of a step in a different direction for him compared to like him playing a high school character, because he is still a teenager in this film. And I don't think it's a problem. I just think that certainly he may want to explore some other options in his personal life as well as professionally, which makes sense. So
I think it's very smart of him to not let this be end all be all, for sure. But I don't think we'll see a reboot of the character or any other actor stepping in.
Define reboot.
Please,
Not
no
a
more.
You say reboot,
no
but what about
What
about
reboot?
Like, you mean like a
Miles?
soft reboot, like
well,
Miles is not a reboot.
Miles is not a
just
reboot.
there is no such thing as a reboot anymore, because if it's a multiverse,
Yeah, multiverse. Yeah, they've kind of
just right,
found a loophole.
right.
I like when they brought up Miles, like well, not Miles in particular.
No,
but-
that's a Miles.
Jamie
illusion.
Foxx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx said like, oh, maybe one day there'll be
I
a
thought
Black
you were
Spider-Man. I was like, oh, maybe. I hope so.
Well, I mean, honestly, if Tom wants to step away, perfect time for
That's
someone to
the
come in and play
perfect-
Miles.
See why
Bring
not?
Miles. Bring
Yeah.
Miles.
I mean, he exists. He's there in their universe that they've alluded to him in previous Homecoming movies.
they have.
So
Yeah,
He's
about to
there.
what hit? He's
Oh
about
my
to hit high
gosh!
school.
Actually, he would be. Oh, he might be. We were saying, he'd be too young, but if he wasn't blipped away, he grew 5 years while, right,
it's like high school,
right.
about early high school, yeah, at least.
So he could be of age now. So just kill Tom off. That's okay. That'll be okay.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Too soon?
Too soon. Yeah, don't kill him off.
Well,
Like,
I mean, okay.
I could see like a mentor teacher student
like the
type of
video
thing.
game.
Yeah,
You
Like
wanna
the
take a-
video
Spider-
game.
yeah,
You want
like
to take a
the
page
video
from the
game.
video game?
Video
Let's
game is
go.
great. The story's great for the video.
It is
game.
great. I agree. But we're gonna pull from Into the Spider-Verse. We're gonna pull from the game, and we're gonna call it our own.
Yes.
Yeah. Which Sony owns it all. Sony owns it all.
Sony, it's a good year for Sony. That's for damn sure.
Okay. The last thing.
Wait, can I say real quick that
Yes.
I think everybody performed well to great as far as the cast. We didn't do enough of talking about the cast, but I think everybody stepped it up.
I think so.
I think it was great.
I think, yeah. There were
I think
some stragglers. I don't know.
Admiral.
Some of the no.
No,
some
Admiral
of
did good.
Admiral
No,
was
it did
fine.
good as well too.
I would say-
Sandman was lackluster for me. That's
Well,
it.
I just heard Sandman was even there on set.
Oh yeah, like the lines, yeah, with the
Yeah.
exception of Sandman.
It was, I mean, his motivation for doing what he was doing just kept flip-flopping over and over again throughout the film. Like,
I have a daughter.
Oh, that's
Doesn't
like
matter
That feels more character. That feels more character than the acting, I would think. Sandman was always kind of dull. That character.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it attests to like how well he portrayed him. I mean, there's that, and then Kirk Connors. I mean, the thing is that they were so tongue in cheek about Lizard in this movie. Like they were almost self-aware at how stupid Lizard.
Oh yeah, I mean,
was.
oh my gosh, they roasted him on the whole plan.
Yeah. What was your plan to turn everyone to lizard people? He's like, yes.
That was funny though. That was meta humor.
It was. So I was like, okay, I still don't like you, but it's fine. And then they leave him like in the truck, and they just forget about him, and for like a good chunk of the movie. But yeah, most of the cast did pretty well.
The mainstays.
The mainstays.
The mainstays.
Ned, MJ, Happy,
Flash.
May. Flash, yeah, even Flash. Thought Flash was fine.
Right.
The last
question?
Strange.
Yes.
Strange trailer.
I hope he wasn't gonna miss that.
Yes.
I was hoping we were gonna miss
Yeah,
that.
no, we're here.
I'm for it. Yeah.
I'm for it. It looks
I'm
cool.
for it too. It's gonna
It
be
looks
wild.
great.
I already love it. I
they-
already love it.
They already said that the reshoots were
Are
to
done.
include but they specifically said it was to include more cameos. What those cameos are, we don't know. But I could be hyped if it's the multiverse. Like I'm excited.
Hugh Jackman, baby.
Wait, when is
I mean-
that movie coming out?
Originally it was February, but I think it got pushed to like May.
Yeah, I want to say.
Yeah, I think
May.
it's the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it got pushed like 2 to 3 months. So it's not that far off. It's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think is it not the first film of 2022?
I think so, yeah. Because it
May
was, I mean,
6th.
it was
Earlier.
supposed to be in February, so it would have. They just
thought it was
moved
earlier.
everything.
So yeah, May 6th. May 6th.
There we go. Multiverse of Madness. Got to see Dark Strange, America Chavez.
A dread-headed
Mondo.
Chiwetel
Please stop.
Ejiofor. No more sorcerer Strange.
I think they're just braids. I don't even think they're dreads.
Whatever the hell they are, it looks cool.
He got a glow up. He looks better. He looks a lot better. And
Are
Wanda.
they positioning Doctor Strange now as like kind of like the Captain of America of this stretch?
Or the Tony.
More of the Tony. What
see
would
the
you say is
Tony.
the difference? Okay. Who would be the Cap?
Like
well, the way it
I
felt
don't-
like Civil War and, were kind of like the catalyst that led into, I guess Infinity War with Civil War, while also introducing Black Panther. And, Winter Soldier kind of like paved the way for like the next run of movies, more than their actual characters. You guys know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, Doctor Strange and Wanda. I think it's like maybe.
Okay. I guess like the two main leads going forward, is what I'm
Yeah.
wondering.
No. Strange is definitely going to be at the forefront
I can
because,
see Strange.
well, given the
But
events
the
of
multiverse too. He
Yes.
just has the knowledge of that.
right,
realm.
he has no choice but to be the lead moving forward. Because I don't
'Cause I
think,
think they wanted to do Black Panther, but tragically, they
Right.
can't go that
Well,
route anymore.
it's just a mess because Homegirl wants to fuck around. Yeah.
God,
Who are you talking about?
we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, that's a whole separate thing. Jeez.
Yeah, I didn't mean to send us down a rabbit hole. I was just curious because it does feel like Doctor Strange, both Benedict Cumberbatch can carry the weight of leading the MCU. And it sort of feels like they're going that route, but it does feel like everything's still taking shape. So it's still kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, so it's a whole lot of newer characters coming in now, or characters that came later on at the end of the phase 4? What are we in, phase 5 now, or going to?
No, it's still phase 4. This is
my
all
bad.
phase. We got so much phase 4 in 2021.
My apologies. Well, when we finish phase 3.
Oh no, you're fine. I'm just saying there's been a lot that's been happening.
Yeah, so I don't even think there's an established right now. Doctor Strange is in the forefront, but I think over time there's not even established like leads yet. I feel like
these films are not
Captain
really
Marvel
alluding to
might be a
anything.
lead once, right? Maybe it'll be like a ground game and like a
Maybe.
space game, like just
Yeah,
different areas.
yeah.
A universe
a
game,
ground-
a ground game, a space game.
Well, 3 games: ground, space, and mystic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because our films next year, it's Doctor Strange, Thor 4, and Black Panther 2.
Does Ant-Man not come out later?
Right. I don't think.
I think
Ant-Man
it's
comes out.
2023.
Right.
Is Ant-Man and the Marvels and whatever else. But I just
Guardians
checked.
of the Galaxy.
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I feel like there are certainly there's 2 things that are happening for me. Is like, one, introducing new characters like we got this year, as far as Shang-Chi and the Eternals, along with like bringing back some folks that we were introduced to previously, but maybe didn't get as much time. So now they're getting a little bit more time as they're teaming up with maybe a more established person. So like Wanda, I think we've seen a lot of her this year because she got her own TV show, but initially she was always just part of a bigger movie. And now she's actually coming forward a little bit more as far as like teaming with Strange. And I think we're seeing that with like Thor 4. A ton of people are coming back together. So it feels like partially like team ups, but not the Avengers level, and partially like introducing new people so that we could start to shift the balance of like who is at the forefront and who's not. Or maybe they just don't even care anymore as far as like establishing a specific lead. Because just the universe feels very, very vast now, and it's just a lot to follow that. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, at the rate they're going, I like how we are still in this what if, like who's going to be the big bad, who's going to be the big lead. We got the multiverse going on across the plane. We have Madam Hydra over here recruiting darker versions of the Avengers. We have Blade appearing. Who knows how he's gonna factor in? I like the uncertainty that there is, because after Avengers and they teased Thanos, you knew it was gonna be all about Thanos moving forward. So even with Kang, we thought Kang was gonna be the end all be all. I thought Kang was gonna appear in this movie with all the purple.
Yeah, we all did. Yeah.
No Kang, and that's
forgot
okay.
about him. Even
Right?
being
See, you
so-
forgot about
Yeah.
him. See.
Yeah, no, I thought, wait, are we not about to get into him?
We
Like,
are about to get into
Yeah.
him, but there are so many other things happening.
I think it would make sense only because of what he can do and what was just started in Loki. So, I mean, it seemed like what he was explaining seems pretty grand in the scale as far as like where Marvel's going with all the characters, like in the different aspects. So I see him probably playing every 3 parts of the space, ground, and mystic, like in all of it. So, because with time travel and him being just like infinite amounts of him, it's seeming like, and it's just gonna get crazy when it comes to him. So I guess since I did forget about him, now that I remember, now I'm kind of excited to see where they're gonna go with it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of we're not supposed to get Kang until Ant-Man and the Wasp. Still 2 years out right now. So
Yeah, it feels like Feige, he did, the first 3 phases, and now he's like, all right, let me see if I can like put myself in like the biggest trap, dig the biggest hole, throw myself into it, and see if I can pull it off again. That feels like what he's trying to do. Because you're right, there is so much happening, especially with the Disney Plus movies, and it doesn't feel like they're anywhere close to like trying to bring it together. It's just like let's just keep spreading it out. Let's just keep trying new things, more characters, more team ups, more villains, more this. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if it like keeps him up at night. I don't know if this is what gets him going, but I don't envy this position. I don't know how he's gonna do it.
But we have faith. Faith.
Yeah. We have curiosity.
And curiosity.
I think that's what's keeping me going. Is like, I don't know what's happening, and so now I'm curious to see what are we? So that's just like my reaction. Like, I don't know the timelines of any of these things, but I'm certainly curious to figure out how it is eventually all going to come together, because I imagine that it will somehow.
They haven't let us down, right? They haven't let us down, right?
No, I wouldn't say so.
You don't include Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
Who?
Age of Ultron.
Which one was who?
Oh,
the second Avengers movie. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You mean Captain America: Civil War? That was the second Avengers film.
No.
Might have been the first one.
What a Shrek factor.
Ultron? No. Vision. To bring it back to No Way Home. I once again did not think they could pull this off. I did not think they could make me feel these things. I did not think they could like loop in Andrew and Toby in a meaningful way. And if you had told me they were going to redeem the Amazing Spider-Man movies or make me rethink how mean I was to Andrew Garfield back then, and like the things I didn't post to the internet, but things I like may have said, I did not think they could do that. And they did. So, that was, if they could pull this off, honestly, yeah, I mean, anything's possible.
And again, I mean, I've been riding on the Andrew Garfield high, so guilty. Yeah, I rethought a lot about what I said about Andrew Garfield as well, prior to this movie. But now, yeah, man, No Way Home, it did its job. It nailed it. And now moving forward, we got a lot that we don't know where, and that's okay. It is okay going in blind. It's okay going in curious, because if they can do this right, they can do this right again. So here's the Spider-Man moving forward. But listen, y'all, I think that wraps up the Yonkō Table for tonight. I think we got most of our Spider-Man No Way Home opinions out there. If you didn't, well, catch us on Hawkeye, because maybe, just maybe, we might see our friendly neighborhood guy swinging over Hawkeye in the finale this Wednesday. Just maybe, but we'll see. Listen, thank you folks for tuning in tonight to the Yonkō Table. I'm your host, GrandMasterHoop. Shout out to DrJaceAttorney, fellow Yonkō, and the supernovas, Rose the Crafter, DoctahReeka, Kame, Chris, and Toasty. And what's the best with this? Never wanted, but always appreciated, Admiral Hooperlino.
You could have left out the first part. Yeah, the second part was fine.
Right. Whatever. Yeah, with that said, everybody, y'all have a good night. Check out our both our Spider-Man recordings. And again, we're on all your social media platforms, and catch us on all your podcast listening stations, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all that jazz. You know where we are. Listen, y'all have a good night. Flip.